Hello, dear listeners, and welcome back to Blush and Bloom, the podcast where we talk about women's health, self care, and real stories behind the work being done to support us. I'm your host, Gigi. I'm also the founder of Asale, a women's health platform promoting cycle syncing and preventive care. While you can't see me right now, you will in a few seconds. That's if you're on YouTube anyway. Today's episode is especially close to my heart. We're talking about period care, what women really need, what we often overlook, and why innovation in this space matters more than ever. Joining me is Faith. She is the founder and CEO of ChuChu Softies, a women's health startup that has won multiple international awards and is rethinking what quality, comfort, and dignity in menstrual care can look like. In this episode, we'll explore what inspired her to build ChuChu Softies, the realities of growing a startup as a young woman in West Africa, and the bold ideas she has for what comes next. So I hope you enjoyed the recording. All right. Thank you so much, Faith, for taking the time to be on the podcast. And let's get started. Okay. How about we start with you and not your startup just yet? So who is Faith outside of the awards, the tech competitions, and your company?
So I'm basically a curious girl. I love to ask a lot of questions when I'm around people. And especially when I notice that things don't seem normal, I like to ask a lot of questions, and I value connection with people, especially family and friends. I'm always open to meet new people. But then I'm happiest when I spend time with my nephew. I love my nephew so much. He's one of the core reasons why I came back to Nigeria for a while. And yeah, I'm not really as serious as people think. I'm not really that serious. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I see you're studying management information systems at Ashesi. So what drew you to that path specifically?
Okay, so I studied management information systems at
My
HSC
bad.
because I'm now an alumni.
Oh,
Okay.
understood.
Thank you. For MIS, we usually call it MIS, yes, Management Information Systems. I love MIS, or I enjoyed studying MIS because it's a kind of like flexible field of study. It wasn't just all about computer systems, writing codes. It gave me a holistic way to look at systems and things. So it's opened up like a platform for me to learn about not just systems, but how the people within those systems function. So it's more like a people-centric kind of field of study. So I just liked the holistic view it gave me to look at things.
Okay, so another question I have is, from what you studied, were you able to apply what you learned from uni by any chance in your startup?
Oh yes, I was. So some of the first versions of the websites that ChuChu Softies had, I built them. Yes, I built a couple of them. And besides that, because of the kind of education I have, the school I attended is more like a liberal arts school. So even if you're doing engineering, you still have access to social science courses, writing courses, and all of that. So I did a lot of social science courses. And one of the courses I took then was with the American University of Central Asia. It was a course on public health. And it made me to look at period poverty, which is a problem that ChuChu Softies is trying to tackle from a systematic point of view. And that reinforced my passion for public health more. And now I'm looking to do my master's in public health. So, yeah.
That's impressive. So, did you always see yourself like building in the health space, or is this something that's evolved over time?
When I started university, I didn't even see myself doing any startup or anything like that. It was when I got exposed to like I think one of the design thinking courses we have at my university. We're supposed to come up with the projects and all of that. That was where ChuChu Softies came in from. And I got encouraged by my teacher to pursue it long term. And the more I started researching on ChuChu Softies, I started discovering other problems that are peculiar to women's health. And it just pulled me all in. And the more I kept researching, the more I kept learning, and the more it kept drawing me in. And now I'm just in women's health space. And it's something I really like.
That's so cool. I also find it interesting that your teacher pushed you to like work on your startup. That's very interesting. So for someone that doesn't know what ChuChu Softies is about, what is your company about, and why and how did you start it?
Okay. So initially when we started ChuChu Softies, it was more of we focusing on solving period poverty. But now ChuChu Softies mission has grown like beyond that. we're not just looking to solve period poverty, but we are trying to make sure that women get access to the kind of healthcare that they deserve. So, I mean, we're talking sanitary pads now. What kind of sanitary pads are women using? I mean, there are certain chemicals that are found in sanitary pads that women use that most of them are not even aware of. And then in the long term, you see them having like reproductive health issues and all of that. That's part of the things that we're looking into. Where ChuChu Softies started from, ChuChu Softies started from the challenges I used to see in the lives of women like around me, starting from my secondary school up until before I left for university. I mean, I stayed, there were women around me who experienced period poverty at some level, and they would try to use like alternative means. And then I saw how detrimental that actually was and how embarrassing it would be for them, even in public spaces. And then when I came to university and I saw that I actually had the opportunity to do something about it, that was where ChuChu Softies started from.
Okay, that's so cool. So I think because one of the questions I have for you is how did your upbringing or your environment shape how you think about women's health? And I see that this is clearly part of the reason why you're building what you're building. So would you like to like share more about this? Like so far with building ChuChu Softies, has there been have you received like positive feedback from your community and the people who use your product?
Yes. So we've actually received positive feedback, but I missed all of the feedback we've received. There's actually one that has stuck with me up until this time. So there was actually, that was before I left Ghana a couple of months ago. So one of our very, very loyal customers, she came up to me, she was like, "Oh, she heard that I am going back to Nigeria for a while, and then she just wanted to tell me that she believes so much in ChuChu Softies and she believes so much in our products that we should not stop doing what we are doing." And that's like one of the feedback that has really stuck with me amidst all of the feedback that we've received.
Okay, awesome. And so, okay, so I was going to ask another question around this. So you have like a physical product, and my guess is you've had like several iterations around this product. So what was the very first version like? How did you come about assembling it?
Okay, so our product has actually gone through a series of iterations. So the first, it's funny how like the first version of a ChuChu Softies product was not really something that was usable, because I mean it was just pieces of cloth like put together. So at that stage we are just trying to get the form of the product itself. And I remember when we did like the first prototyping for the product, it was in my room on campus in school. And fun fact, I don't even know how to connect like the thread in a sewing machine, even up until now. But then through partnership and collaboration, we were able to produce like the first version. And then from there, we worked our way up until like the point of getting the actual materials for the product. So that's like a summary of the process that our product has passed through to get to what it is today.
That's so impressive. So I see you've participated in a lot of like AI and tech competitions. So what are your thoughts on AI and how it influences women's health? And do you by any chance use AI for your
Okay. So while at this point, ChuChu Softies has not really incorporated much of AI into what we do, because we are more of an FCMG kind of company. I do believe that AI has like the potential to do a lot in women's health, especially in this part of the world. I'm going to speak from like the African standpoint, because that's where I have like more experience in and I'm more interested in. So I do believe that AI would do a lot of transformation when it comes to like education, health education, access to health education around women's health. Because the truth is, in this part of the world, women don't really have the chance to speak out about like their health issues. It's still something that we are trying to encourage women to come out to get to speak about their bodies, how they feel about themselves and their challenges, phone and speak to these AI powered apps, and then ask them certain questions. Okay, I think I'm on my periods, and then I think my period is kind of like not looking like the usual color. It's looking like this kind of color, dark brown. Like, what does this mean? And then they are able to get like accurate answers. I can give you an example. Lola AI by Health Tracker, like it's really, really great. It's more like speaking to your fellow woman. So it's very easy to use and navigate. So I do believe that that's one place that AI powered solutions will come to stay in women's health in Africa. Yeah.
So you said something about your business being an FM. For someone who
Yeah.
doesn't know what that
Fast,
is.
it's fast moving consumer goods, FMCG.
Okay, that was my first time hearing about it. What does it mean?
So fast moving consumer goods. Okay, in layman's language, it's more like goods that move very fast, like off the shelves. Okay, let's
Okay.
say for instance something like your blue band butter. That's an FMCG because you use them regularly. They are like more of like your everyday kind of products. This thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Thank you. So another question I'm going to ask you, so from your experiences with like building your product and your startup and everything in between, what are your thoughts on
Just give me a minute. My nephew is around.
like, okay. So I was going to ask, so what do you think is a common misconception about women's health that you wish more young women understood?
Okay. So I think it would be around period health because especially a lot of young girls growing up, I mean even older women or ladies that are older still believe that periods are dirty and periods are an embarrassing thing. But that's not the case because I mean, if you're very honest with me, a man or a woman who has a wound that pus is oozing out. I'm so sorry if this sounds gross right now. But then a man or a woman who has like pus coming out of their wound would most likely be able to walk in public freely than a girl or a woman that is stained with her period on her clothes. It's like a deadly sin. If you have like
Yeah.
a period on your clothes, no matter how small, it's more like a deadly sin. I mean, it's so, and that just shows the level of that has been attached to periods. I really hope that educational systems are able to incorporate awareness, this kind of forms of awareness that periods are not actually dirty, and not just for girls, but then they are also able to carry like the boys around because a larger part of the stigma and the embarrassment comes from the fact that my male counterparts are looking at me because I'm not really sure another woman would laugh at another woman when it comes to getting stained on their periods. I just really hope that they'll be able to carry the guys along too in the whole awareness journey. So it's better.
I hope so too. I think there's been quite of a shift with the way people approach periods recently. I don't know if you've also like noticed it thanks to like social media and more people being more open about health in general. From your
Yeah.
perspective, like, do you agree or you feel like there is still a lot more work to be done around awareness around women's health, especially in Africa?
So I am happy that we are making some form of progress in terms of like women's health. I mean, people are now being able to speak freely on social media, like you mentioned. That's actually something that's happening. But then offline in real life, it's like a different ball game because like the period stigma I spoke about now, these things are deeply rooted in culture, sometimes even religion and beliefs and all of that. So I think the whole liberation process has to start from somewhere. And I think it's okay if it starts online, that's still fine. But I really do believe that there's still much work to be done in creating like stigma free communities where women are able to come out and really talk about their how they feel, like their health challenges and their bodies and all of that.
I agree. So I wanted to talk more about your business. So I know you create period care products. So could you like talk more about what your company, what kind of products you create?
Okay. So for now, the two products that ChuChu Softies have is the cloth sanitary pads. So for our cloth sanitary pads, we have two types. So the first one is the charcoal fabric cloth pads. So they have been infused with charcoal and they protect against odor, infection. And we also have the pads that we make from cotton. So those are both of them are very soft on the skin. And our new products is the disposable sanitary pads that we have that are highly absorbent. So those are the two products that we currently have on our portfolio. And in the near future, we are looking at onboarding more.
Okay. Do you see, so I think from what you described, is any of them reusable right now or they're just disposable?
Yes. No, so the first two parts, that's the cotton and the charcoal fabric, are reusable parts, chemical free actually. And then we have the disposable parts, that's like the one-time use. So we started our first product was the reusable sanitary pads because we started with trying to solve period poverty. And that was one of like the most solid solutions that we So when we saw that we created this and it was already working for our target audience, we decided to move on and also adopt like a new product to add to our portfolio.
I'm very interested by this. So because I understand like when it comes to reusable products, they have to be properly sanitized for them
Yeah,
to be able to be used more over and over again. So are there
yeah.
like any special guidelines? Like does the charcoal help in this scenario aside like preventing other?
Okay. So charcoal on its own has like natural benefits, right? In terms of odor, protecting against odor and also infections as well. So that's why we infuse like charcoal into our reusable pads. And then to take it a step further, we also have like guidelines written on the body of our products, like how to use it and do not use it when it's not dry. Make sure it's dry to like the core and all of that. So they hold guidelines on how to use it like are there. Like it's explained in such a way that it's kind of like dummy level information, meaning it's so simple that anybody can understand.
Okay, that's really impressive. So another question I'm going to ask you is, sorry, I'm just looking through. Okay, stepping away from your project with ChuChu Softies. So what's something that you're really proud of, but you don't talk about enough? Or it could be about ChuChu Softies.
Okay. Not so I have a lot of things that I'm actually proud of, both in office and outside. But one of the things I'm most proud of is being able to be like an auntie, not just an auntie, but then an auntie that is actually present. Like in that almost everybody around me know that I have a nephew, and then they can basically tell you, most of them can basically tell you about my nephew as if they live with him. So like that is how much I am so present in like his life and all of that. And I think that's actually one of my greatest achievements, to be very honest. I don't talk about that particular achievement a lot, but then I mean the people close to me know that Faith Labija actually does have a nephew and he's this. So yes.
That's awesome. I'm so happy to hear that you enjoy spending a lot of time with your nephew. So back
Right.
to ChuChu Softies again. We deviated a little bit. So while building it and engaging with your users and everything, and also from your personal experiences, has there been anything that you had to unlearn about your body or health in general as you continue to like iterate on your product and engage with more women?
Yes. So this may not be directly linked to ChuChu Softies, like in terms of like the product titration and all of that. But then one of the things I've learned, if not even the hard way, is the need to take rest. I had to accept that I deserve rest, lots of it, because there was a time where I had like a major burnout and I interpreted it as me quitting. So I spoke to my coach about it and I was like, oh, I think I feel this way. I think I don't want to do this anymore and all of that. So he just told me, you have a burnout, like take some time out to rest. And trust me, it took me like 3 to 4 months of taking break off like ChuChu Softies to recover. And one of the things I learned is if you don't take enough periodic breaks, you would actually take a longer break to recover from a burnout. Hopefully, you actually do recover from it. So yeah, learning to rest is one of the things I learned.
That's very rest is very important. Thank you for sharing that. So, question I have again is from what you've been able to do so far and your experience in the space, especially as an African woman, is there something that you'd like to see more of in terms of conversations about women's health or in general?
Okay. So one thing I would like to see more of is seeing more African young women, emphasis on young women. So when I talk about young women, I'm talking about women in like their early 20s coming on board to build health related solutions, real solutions for women in Africa, because for the longest time, I mean, most of our solutions, we've had them being built by men. And to a certain, these solutions actually do work, but to a certain extent, who is in like a better position to build something for a group of people than someone who can actually relate to what their target audience is facing. So I really do hope in the near future I would see not just more young African women coming to build health solutions for African women, but also more support for these women. Because it's one thing to tell them to come on board, and then it's another thing for them to be able to access the support that they need to bring the solutions to life. So that's what I would love to see in the near future.
That makes sense. Okay, so back to more conversation about like Africa from the African perspective. So how do you see like religion and the community shaping how women's health is being approached these days? Like, do you think it's improving or we're going backwards?
So when you talk about religion and culture, those are very, very powerful institutions in Africa. Like they continue to shape not just women's health, but even women's education, like even up until today. So in terms of women's health, there are certain religions that believe periods that see periods a certain way. And it's actually hard sometimes to draw the balance between religion and what actually is like facts and all of that. And it's still something that I'm trying to find my balance in. So I think what is happening recently is that although those things exist, right, but women are kind of like embracing and liberal thinking more and more. And then, although it has not become normalized, but then we've seen a lot of progress in that space over the years where women are beginning to become liberal about their thinking and all of that. And while it's very, very advantageous, it also has like its own side effects as well. So it's not really very clear, to be honest.
That makes sense. Let's see how things continue to go. But I think like I agree with you, and I think social media is influencing a lot of the ways, the perspectives that people have, especially around religion and health and the way we approach things compared to how it was before, where there was very limited access to information.
Yeah.
Okay. So what has been like the most challenging part about building ChuChu Softies? Like, I mean, I've seen you've like made a lot of progress with iterating your product several times, marketing, getting grants, and lots of partnerships. So what's the challenge that you like to share?
I think one of the challenges that I faced very early on in my journey was my inability to filter through the information that I was given. So then the way the founders space in this part of the world works is that you have more who would give you advice, but then you have very less support in terms of like resources. So when I first started out, I had like tons of naysayers, and I also had like a couple of supporters as well. But then I had like a major challenge, knowing what to listen to, like what to imbibe into or incorporate into what I'm doing and what not to incorporate. But then as time went on, I was able to develop like a filtering mechanism where I was able to identify different kinds of information, and I was now able to know what to work with and what to drop. So yeah, that was like the major challenge I faced, and I continue to face even up until now, but just that I've developed like a better way to handle it.
Okay, that makes sense. And I'm also guessing that you also get a ton of feedback from your users as well. So how do you navigate all of that? Because and also how did you get your first couple of users? Because I understand like getting people to try something for the first time isn't always easy. So how did you find them and how did you get them to continue being users of your product?
Okay, so the funny part is usually you are advised to give out like products free of charge for people to try, give you feedback and all of that. So the funny part is we actually started marketing before we pushed out our products. So we already had people reaching out to us, wanting to pay for the product to buy it and all of that. So it's funny how the first set of users we had actually paid for the products. We didn't give it out for free, it just happened. And then after they used it, a couple of them kept coming back to not just buy for only themselves, but also like their nieces and their daughters. So that was what our first testing process looked like. And I think it has just been more of speaking with our users often, listening to them, because in the end the truth is your user would be the one to guide you to what is the final solution. You don't get to decide that. They are the ones who have that right to tell you, okay, this is what we want, this is what we want, and then you find a way to give it to them. So yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I was going to ask a follow-up question on that. So, sorry, I lost my train of thought. I was going to ask, like, what was the marketing process like for you to like get those first few users?
So it was solely social media. And then again, another thing that really helped was showing up in spaces where we are given opportunities to pitch about the solution we are building. So even the organizations who awarded us grants, they would usually do like some kind of social media posts and tag our handles and all of that. So we had people reaching out to us saying that, oh, I saw you on this page and then I wanted to reach out for this product and all of that. So it was just a combination of our social media marketing and also the social media marketing we got from supporting organizations. Yeah.
Okay, that's impressive. And back to your users again. So how did you know when you basically, because I know you like did, from what you said, you like did several iterations of the product. How do you know when you hit like product market fit? Like, okay, this is the product that we should keep experimenting, we should keep producing after like trying this number of products.
So I think like I said before, this is not like the final version of our product.
Right.
We will keep collecting feedback and iterating it. But then for us to actually get to this point is because at a certain point there was a constant feedback that we kept getting that directed us to end up with like two products for the reusable sanitary pads. So there were people who wanted the charcoal and then there were people who just wanted like normal cotton and all of that. So it was just based on consistent feedback. So there's a certain point you get to that you actually know that, okay, I think we have to roll out this product, or maybe I think we just have to end up with 2, 3 kinds of this product. So it's based on feedback, continuous feedback from our users.
Okay, that's really cool. All right, so let's say that there's a girl listening to this podcast, and what's something that you want her to understand? Because I remember it previously you said that you want more girls, more young women from Africa to be building women's health related products. So or projects basically. So what's one thing that you would like to tell a girl that wants to get started but doesn't know how to start?
So what I would say is you have to believe in what you want to do enough to the point where you turn naysayers into your supporters. You turn naysayers into your funders. You turn naysayers into your marketing agents. Because the truth is, most people give you feedback. People give you feedback from the perspective or the angle that they can see things from. And sometimes most of those people only need like a bit of enlightenment or a bit of awareness to actually see what you're doing. So I think it's more of like believing in what you're doing and also keeping an open mind to work directly with the people you're building with. Because in the end, and with the people you're building for, I mean, because in the end, you don't want to build a solution that is all in your head. So you want to work directly with the target audience that you're trying to build because they would be the ones to guide you to the solution that works for them.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you for sharing that. And what are your plans for? So we have like two more questions left, basically like wrapping up the podcast. So what's next for ChuChu Softies? Like, where do you see it in the next couple of years?
Okay. So I would just say 5 years to be very specific. So in the next 5 years, I see ChuChu Softies becoming a household name for hygiene products in Nigeria and in Ghana. And I see us onboarding like more products, not just for women, but also for children as well. And I see us building a tribe of people who understand what proper healthcare means. And I see us actually building a community of people who are more aware of their health and how certain things they do affect their health as well.
Okay. Well, sounds like a very interesting future. Can't wait to see it. And final question. You already gave advice for the one girl that's listening. But how about like general advice for it could be a young girl, somewhat older woman, or whoever, an ally who is listening to this podcast? What's one thing that you like to leave them with that you've learned over time that you'd like to share with people?
Okay, so one thing that has really stuck with me throughout my journey is that entrepreneurship can be, or problem solving can be a very lonely journey. You need to find a community of people who you would always draw strength from, because there are times where unfortunately you look to yourself to draw strength from within, but then the strength is not just there. Most times it's the people around you, like in your community, especially people who, when you speak to, can understand where you are coming from, that you get a lot of strength from. So community is very important. Don't trade community for anything. That's what I would say.
Alrighty. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. And is there any other thing, say, that I missed that you'd like to share? If not, that's also completely okay.
No, except that I have a question for you.
Okay.
Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. It's not anything super deep. Don't worry. I won't put you on the hot seat. So I won't do that. So before I ask my question, I just wanted to commend the work you're doing. I mean, championing podcasts like this in women's health, like, it's something that is really important, especially in this part of the world. I mean, creating platforms like this where women would feel comfortable to talk about their health, like, it's really, really, really a very big deal. And although you may not really see the impact of what you're doing now, but then trust me, in the next 1, 2 years, 3 years, you would actually see how big what you're doing will go. So I'm really rooting for you. And then my question is, what's one very big challenge that you've experienced ever since you started this podcast?
I think the one challenge, I was actually talking about it earlier, is getting more African women to share their experiences. So I think, like, with time, maybe as a podcast grows, it may be easier to do. But I think that's like been the most challenging part, because I feel like there's a lot of stories out there about women's health in general from lots of places in the world. And it would be great to see more African women sharing what their experiences are like, because ours is very unique, because the access to healthcare, while it's difficult, even in developed areas, in places that are still developing, and in places where there's little to limited access to the internet to even access information, there is so much work to do. And it would be great to like have more women like share their experiences. Like, I remember when a friend shared her experience with getting diagnosed with endometriosis, and she encouraged me to also get checked. And having somebody go through all of that and share her experience also inspired me to want to get the test done. So I feel like if more African women like share their experiences, and we have a very unique perspective on life in general, and I feel like we could be putting more out there. Fingers crossed. And
Yeah.
thank you for saying yes to my invite, because I was so impressed by your product, and I can't wait to test it out actually. I hope I can. Not right now in Warsaw, but fingers crossed. And I'm also rooting for you, because period care products, they're very, very important, especially now that we don't know what's going into the things that we use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Alrighty, that wraps up this episode of Blush and Bloom. I hope this conversation with Faith left you thinking about how we approach menstrual care. Huge thank you again to Faith for joining me and for sharing her journey as a young founder reshaping period care through ChuChu Softies. You can learn more about her work and how to connect with her in the episode description. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please follow Blush and Bloom wherever you get your podcasts. You can leave a review or share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. You can also find us on Instagram at asalet.tech, or visit www.asale.tech for more information about Blush and Bloom and Asale as a company. And you can also try out our app and also join our community. Until next time, keep asking questions, stay curious about your body, and don't be afraid to imagine better. Bye bye. See you in the next episode.